Pro Group Management. Workers' comp that works for you.
Welcome to Nevada Newsmakers. Things are really starting to speed up at the legislature, and he's got the rundown.
Sam, it's the 10th week of the legislature and one with an important deadline. All bills must pass out of committee or be killed by this Friday. It's symptomatic of how fast things are moving that one of our guests didn't make it this morning. But Greg Ferraro is here, and we hear about lotteries, taxes, and other important issues. Sam?
Thanks, Andy. And now political pundits today, Keith Lee, Mike Dayton, and Bob Crowell. It's all coming up next on the all-new Nevada Newsmakers.
Nevada Newsmakers, brought to you in part by Charter Communication.
Today's lesson, another reason to take the Gold Rush Club Card Challenge. With the Gold Rush Card, you really have 3 cards in one. Use your cash back. You still keep your comps and drawing tickets. Use your comps. You still keep your cash and drawing tickets. And with your drawing tickets, you could win thousands in cold hard cash every week and still keep your cash back and comps. Does your club add up? Graduate to the Gold Rush Players Club. It's the smart thing to do. The Gold Dust West, south on Keystone, east on 4th.
Folks, you must see what's new in Virginia City. Ride the V&T train all the way to Gold Hill. Explore a mine, if you dare. Visit Piper's Opera House. Watch the gunslingers shoot it up on C Street. Shop in unique stores. Listen to honky tonk in the historic saloons. You can't see it all in one day, so spend the night. Virginia City, where the West comes alive. Come up and spend the night in our hotels, motels, and RV parks.
When he was just a young boy, Ken Dillon laid back, looked up at the stars, and thought to himself, hey, this house could use a roof. Today, Ken Dillon's D&D Roofing and Sheet Metal offers a complete line of Firestone roofing products for any type of roof, from commercial to industrial and residential. With a Firestone roof from D&D Roofing and Sheet Metal, what's overhead stays overhead. Call Ken Dillon's D&D Roofing and Sheet Metal today for a free estimate. Yes, the technology sure has changed, but after all these years, Ken still enjoys playing with houses.
If you own a business and want to maximize your company's potential, join the Retail Association of Nevada. Our membership benefits include the Nevada Retail Network Self-Insured Group, providing workers' compensation coverage that can lower your rates. That savings can go directly to your bottom line. We are an effective pro-business organization that lobbies on behalf of our business members. The Retail Association of Nevada, protecting Nevada businesses for 35 years. Call 882-1700 to see what we can do for your organization.
This is Nevada Newsmakers with Sam Shad, political analyst Ande Engleman on No Holds Barred Political Forum. Now, from the News 4 Broadcast Center, here's Sam Shad.
Great controversy on this morning's morning show here on News 4, and we'll continue that discussion with Greg Ferraro, the eminent lobbyist who joins us this morning as always on Mondays.
Good morning, Greg. Now, you represent the casino industry.
I do.
Are they interested in killing that resolution to allow us to have a lottery?
No, we have no desire to see that bill go away. At the same time, we're not really sure what to do with it. We know one thing: we need a lot more information in this state before we can go forward supporting the lottery. But that doesn't mean that we oppose it.
Oh, okay. You just answered like 10 different ways here. Okay.
Well, the bottom line, Sam, is
take away one hand.
We need to gather a lot more information about how a lottery would work. I've always said, in my opinion, that we don't have the population base to support a lottery, but if we entered into a multi-state network with other states, principally California, maybe it would work. We don't have enough information in the state on how to manage one. We need to get some more information to make a decision.
Well, Greg, the tax commission, I mean, you're supporting all the things the tax commission came out with, the governor's commission on taxes.
Oh, the task force, yes.
The task force, yes, and one of the things they said was that lotteries was something that should be considered.
Yeah, and my guess is if I could gaze into the crystal ball, there'll probably be some type of study to see how it would work in the state, and we may end up with one.
Okay, so looking at the calendar here, probably not enough time this session.
My guess is that there'll probably be some effort towards putting a study group together and looking at how one operates, how one would be managed in a state like ours, which is a pretty small population base.
We have to go through a constitutional amendment before we can
Right.
have a lottery. It won't be just one bill.
All right, let's talk about Senator Raggio and his speech the other evening.
Or his presentation of his bill.
Right.
Right.
Well, I think it kind of turned into a speech. Explain
No
to
one
the
has more respect for Senator Raggio than me. and
Senator
so-
Raggio is one of the cleverest people at the legislature as far
Well,
as
he's
being-
smart, he works hard, and he understands how to put people together.
Would you explain to the public exactly what he was talking about?
Well, my understanding of Senator Raggio's proposal is that he would like to see some percentage of future growth in property tax in counties that are experiencing growth, which is not all Nevada counties, some portion of that reverted back to the state as an alternative to raising taxes. I think Senator Raggio has given this a lot of thought and a lot of study. Of course, he's been in the legislature for 30 years. He knows how things work, and he knows how to fold the laundry.
Well, but there are problems right now in Washoe County and Sparks, even in Reno. We're looking at problems. Don't we want to see those kind of property taxes remain in those areas so that they can help
Well,
to develop
that's
the areas?
clearly the argument of those representing local government interests. And I'm not sure where this is going to go. I know that Senator Raggio feels very strongly about this issue, and so therefore it's going to be something we're going to be talking about all the way until the end. I know local governments feel very protective of that additional revenue in order to fund their programs and services. So perhaps a meeting of the minds will occur and cooler heads will prevail.
And Senator Raggio will be on our show this Thursday, and we'll definitely ask him about that.
He's not one to be underestimated.
No, not at all.
Greg, this is an important week in that all of the bills have to either pass out of committee by Friday or they have to kill them.
And some, however, I'll point out, are
Right.
exempt. Those bills having something to do with the budget or to be receiving budget money, those are exempted. But by and large, the majority of bills are not exempt and therefore will be required to be passed out of committee by Friday at midnight. I
Greg,
suppose.
isn't there more than one way to skin this cat? I
There
recall.
are several roads to Damascus.
I recall one year where a legislator gutted, excuse me, a bill that had passed out of the other house and inserted his own bill into that.
I think I remember that.
And so there are ways that lawmakers can get around some of these rules.
I think there are very narrow opportunity to advance a bill past this deadline. If the consensus of the legislature is to do something, then of course it makes it quite a bit easier. But this is a very important hurdle in this process, and probably 40% of the bills, perhaps more, won't make it. And so considering those that are exempt and those bills that were introduced, geez, what do we have, about 1,000 bills. My guess is by this time next week, we'll have about 600.
Okay, let's ask you a final question here. On the tax situation, are we going to see some kind of consensus coming up anytime soon, or is this just going to keep dragging out until the latter weeks of the session?
Well, define soon.
Well, soon, in the next week or two.
I think you'll start to see the basic parameters of consensus
Okay, and
start
this
to
will come
form in
from
the
where?
next couple of weeks.
And this will come from where? Who do you think will lead this?
Well, I think there'll be a number of leaders that will step forward to begin to bring people together. But before that happens, Sam, we've got to have some debate on a number of issues that haven't been heard yet. And principally, I mentioned sales tax on services, which was rejected by the Governor's Task Force on Tax Policy because of the complexity associated with the administration of that tax. And we're going to hear considerable discussion about that tax this week.
And that's being heard tomorrow, right?
Should be heard tomorrow afternoon.
And one real quick question. Gross receipts is not dead, is it?
I think it's alive and kicking.
That's what I thought.
And you represent gaming, correct?
And a lot of other interests, too.
We'll be right back on Nevada Newsmakers. Thanks as always for being here, Greg. We'll
Thank
see you
you
next
very much.
Monday. We'll be right back.
CTX can help you negotiate your best deal. We've been your home team advantage for over a decade. Call us today because at CTX, local service still matters.
Yeah, with CTX, you're homeward bound.
When you sign up for Wells Fargo free checking, you get more than free checking. You get the freedom to bank when and where you want. Wells Fargo, the next stage.
Atlantis is cooking up a party. It's every diner's paradise. 7 award-winning dining choices. Experience the Atlantis Seafood Steakhouse tonight. Winner of Wine Spectator's Award of Excellence. The local choice for food and fun, Atlantis.
Atlantis.
At Sushi Club, everybody's family. That's what makes dining here so much fun. The sushi is consistently better, the atmosphere is great, and the service is wonderful.
Welcome to the bigger and better Sushi Club. Come in for our delicious daily specials.
When you're talking sushi, you're talking Sushi Club in the Independence Square Shopping Center.
Walk into the Cactus Creek Bar and Grill at the Bonanza Casino, and you know you're in for a very special evening. Enjoy the southwestern atmosphere of some of the best gourmet food in Reno. It starts right here with Chef Bruce Norman and his talented staff. From buffalo T-bone to martini scampi and peppercorn duck. There's fine wine specialty margaritas, and our pastry chefs create award-winning desserts. The Cactus Creek in the Bonanza Casino, 1 mile north of the university, where locals come to play.
And now, back to Nevada Newsmakers with Sam Shad and Ande Engleman.
And back on Nevada Newsmakers, time for the Pundit session. We're going to have an extended Pundit session today. Bob Beers wasn't able to join us, and we'll try to rebook him for the future. But let's introduce today's panelists. We'll start off with Mike Dayton, who is Chief Policy Advisor to Lorraine Hunt, our Lieutenant Governor. And then we have Bob Crowell, he's an attorney, and I'm sorry, Keith Lee. Let's not trade the name. I'm already confusing the. Keith Lee, who's an attorney and lobbyist, and Bob Crowell, who is also an attorney and lobbyist. Andy, why don't you kick things off?
Okay, I'm going to say something slightly politically incorrect, probably. I know that we're concerned about Iraqi and civilian lives, and I am too. But is it worth our young men and women's lives? Are we so concerned about civilian lives that we're putting our own troops at risk?
Boy, I think that's the age-old question of why, when you engage in war. When you go to war, your first priority, in my opinion, your first priority is to take care of your own troops. And, you know, sometimes there are civilian casualties, and I don't think you can look back and say, you know, you try to minimize it, but when the day is done, you're looking after your own troops.
I agree with Bob. I mean, at the end of the day, what we're talking about here is saving our own people. And, you know, war is ugly, war is mean, war is nasty, and unfortunately there's always casualties of war. And the sad thing is that there are civilian casualties of war. But I go back, and I've had this conversation with others, we had a lot of, this war started September 11, 2001, and we suffered 3,000 casualties, civilian casualties in this country on that date. I agree with Keith and Bob, you know, and I'm sure the president contemplated this deeply, and he felt it was necessary, and unfortunately casualties are a necessary part of war.
You know, it's interesting, I think, that seeing the speed at which the American military has moved in this, that the ratings for the Bush administration and Secretary Rumsfeld and the disagreements they were having last week with the generals, do we have enough people out in the field or don't we? I think that the speed that we've seen Baghdad being taken and the relatively small loss of life for the American and Allied forces has been quite remarkable.
Well, I think a lot of people, even if they were opposed to the war before it began, now that we're in it, want to see us win, want to see us accomplish what we went there to do. Obviously, these are dirty fighters. These people have no ethics whatsoever. And the quicker we can win this war, the better off both the Iraqis and Americans will be.
Well, now you get into the point, though, where we're going to find out exactly why we're in this war, and that's the exit strategy. One is to get rid of Saddam, is to get rid of weapons of mass destruction, is to liberate Iraqi people, and I think that we have to be very clear on exactly what it is. When we say we're winning this war, we have to be very clear about what we mean when we say that, because otherwise there's going to be unrealized expectations of a lot of people. And while we're doing quite well on the battlefield, the next front is the political front, and I think that the whole country, as well as the administration, is looking very carefully at that.
I understand Senator Ensign brought a bill last week that would have prohibited France, and good Mike, you're up on this, so correct me if I get this wrong, France and Germany from taking part in Iraq after the war is over. And the president asked him to withdraw it or said he would not support it. Could you?
I did not follow the bill that closely, but I know there were some concerns over
how that bill would go through, and it didn't want to in any way be prejudiced against, someone.
It just doesn't make any sense.
With
I
the
mean, the bottom line is that we are paying for fighting this war. We cannot afford to reconstruct Iraq at the same time. We're going to need the United Nations or members of the United Nations to help financially. There is an incredible amount of work to be done. I think that it will be disastrous for only American companies to reap the benefits of this in terms of the reconstruction. It has to be something that allows the Bush administration to rebuild the diplomacy that they did not win in the United Nations.
You're right, Sam. I think there's two things. Prime Minister Blair and President Bush are meeting today, I think, to discuss what the United Nations role ought to be in the rebuilding of Iraq. But as Bob said, one of the real, I think, important factors here, and where the battle is going to be fought, if you will, is on the political front of what government is, and what entity and what group of folks are going to be running Iraq. I think, is it inevitable we're going to win the war and depose Saddam and bring in a new regime? Is what's that regime going to be? Who's going to run the country? Who's going to set the rules? And I think that's going to be very important, and that's where the diplomacy is going to take place. And then we have the issue of who's going to assist in the rebuilding. And Tony Blair wants a greater role for the United Nations than apparently President Bush is willing to give him. So it's going to be interesting to see where that all shakes out.
Well, I also think the repercussions of countries in the region is going to be very strong, too. Iran is looking very closely at this situation, being next on the list of the axis of evil. Syria is not looking real happy about what's going on. Saudi Arabia has got to be concerned, too. None of these places are democracies, and here we're trying to install a version of democracy, we presume, in Iraq, whilst not allowing the balkanization with the country splitting into three, which would cause all kinds of regional problems.
I think the end game is a long way out until we see. I'm not sure anyone really knows what it's going to look like. I'm not sure there's a lot of consensus on people thinking what it ought to look like. So I think it's going to be interesting to see what happens in the next 6 to 9 months, I think, after the war is over, after the hostilities have ceased.
Let's bring it back to Nevada and talk about the implications so far that are coming into the Lieutenant Governor's office as far as tourism to the state, as far as conventions coming into the state. How are things looking at this point?
Well, prior to the beginning of the war, she convened the Tourism Stability Task Force, and with the airports, Homeland Security Advisor Jerry Bussell, the Resort Association, the Chambers, and they basically came up with, that it's going to be broken down into 3 areas. One is a short term, the immediate short term where everybody's kind of glued to their TV sets, and then the next is kind of the post CNN, maybe the first month after the war, where people want to kind of, are not as engaged on a day-to-day basis of the war, and they may be getting out there, and then and then the long-term effect, and we just don't know how long that's going to be.
I want to ask a question, if I may, of the panel, just briefly. You got any trips planned in the next couple of weeks?
No.
Next month or so?
Legislature, no.
Not until after June.
Legislature, I guess. But I mean after June.
Sure. Yeah, absolutely I do. I'm going to Alaska. I'm going back to Washington,
I didn't really want to
D.C.
travel a lot. We know you're going, but Bob, do you have plans?
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely.
So that at least for the people sitting here at the table, we still have travel plans. So keep our fingers crossed on Vegas. We'll take a break. We'll be right back on Nevada Newsmakers.
Before you head to Carson, take care of yourself with a visit to Tamarack Junction. Catch a hot cup of coffee and the morning news on one of our 32 TVs and enjoy the best food in South Reno. Tamarack Junction, your junction for fun. South Virginia and Amati Ranch Parkway.
When he was just a young boy, Ken Dillon laid back, looked up at the stars, and thought to himself, hey, this house could use a roof. Today, Ken Dillon's D&D Roofing and Sheet Metal offers a complete line of elk roofing products for any type of residential roof. With an elk roof from D&D Roofing and Sheet Metal, what's overhead stays overhead. Call Ken Dillon's D&D Roofing and Sheet Metal today for a free estimate. Yes, the technology sure has changed, but after all these years, Ken still enjoys playing with houses.
We've loosened our machines. We've given you the Gold Dust West Gold Rush Club, Reno's best slot club. You can win lots of jackpots. Play longer. Your points will add up faster than you think. Now, we're loose, and we're not screwing around. See you at the Gold Dust West, south on Keystone, east on 4th.
Folks, you must see what's new in Virginia City. Ride the V&T train all the way to Gold Hill. Explore a mine, if you dare. Visit Piper's Opera House. Watch the gunslingers shoot it up on C Street. Shop in unique stores. Listen to honky tonk in the historic saloons. You can't see it all in one day, so spend the night. Virginia City, where the West comes alive. Come up and spend the night in our hotels, motels, and RV park.
Make your daily commute easy with breakfast or lunch at the Tamarack Junction. Enjoy daily specials, super fast service, and South Reno's freshest morning meals. Tamarack Junction, your junction for fun. South Virginia and Amati Ranch Parkway.
And now, back to Nevada Newsmakers with Sam Shad and Ande Engleman.
And back on Nevada Newsmakers, the conversation just keeps going here while you're gone. I'm sorry about that, but we have to sell some things here. Let's go to Bob here. Construction defects. I hear these stories, of, and I have to be honest with you and attest to the fact that when I bought my house several years ago, I was real unhappy with how long it took to fix the problems in the house and the battles I had to go through. There was one point where there was a pretty poor subcontractor in one area, and I had to get my own union representative to come over and defend me against the home builders and the subcontractors. Where are we with this at this point?
Oh boy, I'll tell you. Well, tomorrow there's about 3 bills in Assembly Judiciary that are going to get heard. 446, 449, and 373 that'll all talk about construction defect issues. Some of those are being presented by the trial lawyers and some by Assemblyman John Marvel. On the Senate side, it looks like the largest bill on the Senate side is Senate Bill 241, which is being presented by the Builders Coalition. That hasn't come out of the Senate yet, but I anticipate that will. And where this all ends up, I hate to say it, but I suspect that it may end up where the taxes end up, kind of the last night. Mm-hmm. Although I have to tell you, there's a pretty good dialogue among the interested parties to see if there's any ways we can solve this issue. But we have a ways to go. We have a few Iraqi battles before we get to that, I can tell you that.
All right, well then, Keith, let's put you on the hot seat with medical malpractice.
Sure.
Where do we sit with that? It seems to have gone a little quiet here the last couple of weeks.
It has gone quiet, at least publicly. I can tell you that there's a lot of discussion going on, as Bob indicated, with respect to construction defects among the interested parties. The chairman of Senate Commerce, the chairman of Senate Judiciary, and the chairman of Assembly Judiciary are definitely engaged with the participating parties. I think at the end of the day there'll be a resolution to which all the parties will agree, but I think also this is going to be the end game. As we discussed off camera, this is a 9-inning ball game, and we're just in the top of the 5th inning right now. We all hope that we don't go into extra innings, but I think construction defects, I think medical malpractice are two of the issues that will be the end game along with the budget and the tax. And we who have been there on more than one occasion at the legislature know how hectic that last week is, how hectic that last day is, and my suspicion is that between the hostage taking among legislators with respect to various bills and the other issues, that the end game is yet to be decided and won't be till that last day.
This is a good chance to ask particularly, I'll start with you, Mike. Senator Raggio's brought a bill having to do with, speaking of end games and so forth, having to do with local property tax. Mm-hmm. And we know that Senator Raggio is a very clever, smart person. Would you think this is, Mike, I'll start with you, is this a bill he really wants to get passed, or is this a chip to use in the end game?
Well, I think Senator Raggio feels very strongly about this, and he is trying to help in the budget process of trying to, this is a long-term solution to our budget problems. And I think Senator Raggio is going to continue to beat this drum. I think he feels very strong about it, and I don't think we're going to hear the last of this.
By the way, we should explain to the public exactly what this is. This is once there's a certain increase in county property taxes, that a portion of that would then go to the state.
Right, and this doesn't take away from the county what they're getting now. This is after there's a certain increase. So.
But all the growth in Nevada is in property values. I mean, you look at the Las Vegas Strip, and every time they build $1 billion hotel, the state's not getting a portion of that, but we have to still fund our schools, and we have prisons that are continuing to grow in population. And you know, Senator Raggio feels that some of that, before we raise property taxes on people, we really should look at this issue.
Well, the counties don't own property taxes.
Well, after 1981, some of them think they do. And I mean, clearly, that's when the shift was made, back in 81, and shift away from property taxes to sales tax, and then essentially assuring counties that a great portion of the revenue come from property taxes. I agree with Michael, however. I believe that Senator Raggio wants a piece of this. What it may look like come the end of the day, I don't know. But this is important to Senator Raggio, and he honestly believes that this is something that's in the best interest of the entire state of Nevada.
Okay, Bob,
so he's going to get
10
something.
seconds. You got 10 seconds. We're out of time.
Oh, I happen to agree with Keith on that one, and I know we're out of time, but this is going to be an interesting end play.
Yes, it is. And we'll talk to Senator Raggio later on this week. We'll be right back on Nevada Newsmakers after this timeout.
If you're talking sushi, you're talking Sushi Club. Year after year voted the best place for sushi. 11 chefs on staff to serve you. Better ingredients for consistent high quality. And lots of room, so bring your friends. Sushi Club in the Independence Square Shopping Center.
Feel it, the magic is everywhere. The action, the style, the food, the flair. Play with us, stay with us in Reno, say El Dorado, and live the excitement. El Dorado, Reno shining star. Live the excitement.
CTX can help you negotiate your best deal. We've been your home team advantage for over a decade. Call us today because at CTX, local service still matters.
Yeah, with CTX, you're homeward bound.
When you sign up for Wells Fargo free checking, you get more than free checking. You get the freedom to bank when and where you want. Wells Fargo, the next stage.
Atlantis is cooking up a party. It's every diner's paradise. Toucan Charlie's Buffet and Grill, consistently voted Reno's best buffet by locals. Experience the Mongolian barbecue, new Asian station, and sumptuous exhibition stations filled with fresh entrees, salads, and desserts. Try the Friday night seafood buffet and Sunday champagne brunch.
Atlantis.
Nevada Newsmakers, brought to you in part by Charter Communication.
No matter how much time we give the pundits, we always run out.
That's right. Son of former mayor Jeff Griffin is going to be here. He's now an assemblyman, and Controller Kathy Augustine.
We'll see you tomorrow.